Right now at 6, the broadest tariffs this country has seen in generations.
It's our declaration of economic independence.
With local reaction now flooding in, including from auto service shops.
I don't think that there is a vehicle manufactured in the United States that doesn't have some imported parts.
Plus, Portlanders speak out over rising rents.
There's a lot of collusion among landlords to keep the base minimum rent higher and higher and higher.
Why smaller landlords say a ban on using AI software to set rent prices won't bring costs down.
And the local restaurants and chefs that made the list as finalists in the Oscars of the culinary world.
We begin at 6 with local reaction to President Trump's new tariffs as the president pledged the biggest reorganization of the global economy since World War II. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. It is a long list of tariffs which American companies pay on goods that they bring into the U.S., with items from some countries topping 50%. So here are some examples. Goods from China, 53%, the EU, 20%, India, 26%, Japan, 24%. It appears Canada and Mexico escaped this time without further increases. Economic experts say it's likely the cost of these tariffs will be passed to consumers. That includes cars and auto parts, which the president singled out.
Yeah, 25% on those. Let's get right to Celine Stevens live in Southeast Portland with initial reaction from local businesses. So, Celine, what are you hearing?
David, Christine. So I'm actually standing outside of an auto repair shop right now because I spoke with a few people in the automotive industry today who all spoke to me about what they think these tariffs are going to mean for their consumers. And the message was that if you're planning on purchasing a car or getting any repairs, you should start getting those plans set into motion now. The automotive industry is facing a 25% tariff on vehicle imports starting in less than 24 hours, and tariffs on parts are expected to come later. That means the cars and parts coming from outside the U.S. will cost service centers like this more. Consumers need to expect the cost to be passed on to them. I spoke to the owner of Green Drop Garage right after the president's speech, who says he doesn't think any repair shop will be absorbing these new costs.
The customer's buying that part, that cost gets passed along to the customer plus a little bit of margin to cover the overhead. So it just doesn't work on a financial model to absorb that cost and run a viable business, especially at these double-digit rates. I think it's not good for us, not good for the customers.
He says he expects to start seeing price increases from suppliers as soon as in about a week. He says he's also going to start emailing his customers as soon as tomorrow to let them know if they need to come into the shop before those prices start to rise. Back to you.
All right, the timing midnight tonight for some of this and then April 5th in just a few days for the rest. Thanks so much, Celine.
Okay, let's talk a little bit of weather now. Light showers here in the northwest that we've seen, but really nothing compared with what they're dealing with in the middle of the country. This tornado caused damage earlier today in Missouri, but things have gotten much more dangerous tonight.
Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafino is here to show us what is happening right now. Matt?
Yeah, this is a massive tornado outbreak in the Midwest, fairly typical for this time of the year, but nonetheless, no less tragic or damaging. And look at this cold front that's stretching really from Chicago down to near Dallas. We'll zoom in on this and you can see where the reflectivity is, where the rainfall is super heavy. Where you see blue, we're getting hail. I've seen hail reports as large as 2.5-inch diameter hail. That is big hail. Every single red polygon is an active tornado warning, meaning there's already been a tornado reported on the ground or strongly indicated by Doppler radar. So several of them, again, stretching from Indianapolis down to nearly Dallas. I know the parts of Arkansas, cities like Jonesboro have been hit very, very hard, and this is now edging east of St. Louis at the time. Look at all these reports. I counted at least a dozen tornado reports from southern Wisconsin all the way down to eastern Texas here. And every one of these is a hail report. Again, I mentioned one of them, at least 2.5-inch diameter hail. So this is a big deal. A lot of people being impacted by that severe weather outbreak in the Midwest as this cold front continues to march on off to the east. Okay, for us, we got showers out there right now. Fairly impressive at the moment. 50 degrees, it's cool, it's wet. I had a great rainbow earlier. We'll show that to you a little bit later on. But we will get clearing later on tonight and a couple of really great days in spite of the fog and low clouds in the morning tomorrow. 2 very warm days. And then the rain comes back during the weekend. I'll let you know which part of the weekend will be wet, guys.
Appreciate you keeping track of everything going on. Thank you, Matt.
Well, staying with weather in your headlines, a flood warning has been extended for the Silvice River in Harney County. That river rose out of its banks late last week after a sudden warm-up led to rapid melting from a record snowpack. The lack of vegetation in the massive burn scars from last summer's wildfires accelerated the runoff. The National Weather Service expects the river to drop below flood stage tomorrow, though more rises are possible as warm weather returns.
A man is facing possible criminal charges after investigators say he drove his SUV into a Max Orange Line train this morning. It happened around 6:30 at Southwest Lincoln and Nato Parkway. That's on the south end of downtown. No one was hurt. 36-year-old Antoine Robinson was arrested and charged with reckless driving and endangerment.
And an Alaska Airlines flight from Portland to Las Vegas this morning had to return to PDX after the crew reported a strong odor in the cockpit. Alaska Flight 757 took off from PDX around 9:30. According to flight tracking software, the 737 was climbing at about 13,000 feet over Lake Oswego when it abruptly began descending and then returned to the airport. Alaska hasn't said much more, though clarified there were no flames reported. Passengers were moved to another aircraft, and that plane was taken out of service. Developing tonight, a 60-year-old FedEx worker says she is thankful to be alive after she says a dog attacked her last week while on her way to work.
A warning, this story includes some photos of her injuries. Our Daisy Caballero spoke with her and her family today.
I was thinking, I don't want to lose my leg, and I want someone to help me.
Giovanni Johnson's life has forever changed after a dog viciously attacked her last Thursday heading to work.
Giovanni says she parked in this parking lot across the street from her job at FedEx office. And as she crossed the street, that's when she says the dog attacked her.
Because you see this dog chomping on my leg, and you are not helping me.
Giovanni says the owner, who appeared to be homeless, was fully aware of what was happening, but she decided not to step in to help.
It was like 4 people, and they're just looking. I said, can you please come and help me? And they did nothing.
5 minutes pass by, and the dog is still attacking her. No idea of when it would all stop.
The more he keep chopping, the more I feel my leg and my foot going numb. And I mean, I had to call 911 for myself.
Giovanni was rushed into surgery and has since undergone 3 procedures. One was an artery transfer from her right thigh, shown in this photo here, to keep blood flow to her injured leg.
That was my first thought. I'm glad she's alive.
LaShonda is Giovanni's daughter and never thought this would be her mom's reality after almost 15 years working for FedEx.
101 thoughts came through because most dogs attacks that I've seen, they've been pretty vicious and sometimes the people don't survive.
LaShonda is beyond thankful her mom's life was spared and is frustrated that animal owners in the Portland metro aren't responsible if they're aware of their dog's aggressive nature. They want to see change at the city and county level when it comes to homeless people and their aggressive dogs.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I think our mayor has failed us. Portland has failed us.
You keep hearing these stories over and over again, and now I'm dealing with it with my mother, and it's not fair. It's not fair.
Daisy Caballero here with us now. Daisy, I can't even imagine what that family is going through.
Yeah.
In terms of the dogs, what has happened to them?
Yeah, so I did get an update. It was picked up by the Multnomah County Animal Services and is in quarantine, which is standard protocol for a situation like this. And the agency also says that the dog will remain in its custody and will now classify the dog as a dangerous dog.
Right, that one dog.
What about Giovanni? What happens there, Daisy?
Yeah, so really from talking with her, her spirits are high. She was working 2 jobs before she got, of course, injured, and she says that she wants to continue to work. She is not ready to retire. So, of course, wishing her a speedy recovery.
Absolutely. Thank you, Daisy.
Of course.
Thank you. In an update, today a murder trial began 1 year after a deadly shooting outside a strip club in southeast Portland.
Jurors heard opening statements in the murder case against Demaria Harris. Harris accused of shooting 2 men outside the Venue Gentlemen's Club in the Hazelwood neighborhood in April of last year. We covered this extensively. One man survived, but 35-year-old Moreo Camel Harris did not. Today, the prosecutor played video of the incident the state says proves Demaria Harris was the shooter. The defense argued the state lacks hard evidence, including a murder weapon. Then the prosecution called its first witness, a man who was driving by hearing gunshots, who started recording video on his phone.
When I pulled in, I saw the guy laying there bleeding out with blood rushing down the sidewalk, and I was just in shock at that.
Harris faces first-degree murder and attempted murder charges.